This is Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. Mitch Lafon.
Welcome to this episode of Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. And sometimes I need to do a long introduction just to set up what was talked about and set up an interview. And sometimes interviews just explain themselves. And this is one of those interviews. Steve Grimmett of Grim Reaper. New album is at the gates, and the conversation was absolutely fantastic. Now, if you've got kids in the car or kids around as you're listening to this, the language does get a little bit spicy, for the lack of a better word, once in a while. So you may want to block your ears, or maybe you want to move on to another episode that's a little cleaner. But there are a couple of F words and so on. And anyway, whatever. It's rock and roll. So forget the long intro. Here is the one, the only, from Grim Reaper, Steve Grimmett. We are speaking with vocalist Steve Grimmett. The new album is At the Gates, and Monsieur Grimmett, I have been listening to it. It is a fantastic, or even wondrous album. So let me just first start off by saying, as we say in Montreal, bonjour, comment allez-vous? But we'll get to that album. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
great.
So,
yes, not too bad. Yes,
so
I would go on.
Well, I was just going to say, sorry, I'm just very excited because, you know, as I always do my research for these interviews and stuff, and I started reading these reviews of At the Gates, and I started seeing it's going to be on everybody's 2019 best of, and then I saw, oh, it's 9 out of 10, and I went, okay, people, calm yourself. And then I listened to it, and I went, yeah, they're fucking right. So good on you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a lot of hard work, to be perfectly honest with you, and it took a long time. It took far longer than we should have done, but I think at the end of the day, well worth it.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about the process going into this one, because technically, I guess it's only like the 5th Grim Reaper album, you know, and you've recorded under other brand or band names in the previous years.
Yeah.
What makes this a Grim Reaper album, and why are you focused on moving this band and this brand forward?
Well, basically, 2006, I think it was, we got asked to do a show in Germany. Keep It True was it was, and we got asked to do it as Grim Reaper. So it was like, right, okay, yeah, we'll do that. To be perfectly honest with you, I was ready to give the industry a kick in touch, really, because I was just fed up with the whole thing. And then we did this show, and it was stunning, and obviously people still wanted to hear the Reaper stuff. So we decided we'd carry on, and we'd start writing another album, and which was Walking in the Shadows, one before this, and the whole thing's just grown and grown and grown and grown. It's incredible. You know, we can now again tour the States, we tour South America, we tour Europe, we do a lot of festivals as well. And it's just, you know, everywhere we turn, it's like, it's incredible. And Ian and I, the guitarist, we were trying to come up with the answer why, you know, but there isn't. So we decided to forget that for a while and just enjoy it while it lasts, you know. But it's getting bigger and bigger. And I think it's, you know, rock is on its way back. I don't think it'll ever be as big as it was in the 80s, but, you know, it's good. And that's why we've written another one, because, you know, people are saying to us, we want another one. The record label, we want another one. You know, and I'm already getting that now for another album. So, yeah. So it's good all round. It's really good. We're having a great time.
It is really good, and you know, unlike those that say rock is dead, I'm not going to say that. I think rock has become sort of the new jazz in a sense, where it's you know, it'll come back. It'll always be there.
Yeah, it will.
It will. And listen, there are plenty of great jazz festivals around this world, so you know, we it'll come up.
Yeah.
You said that you were on the verge of quitting, giving it the middle finger or whatever, and walk.
Yeah.
What about the industry got you to that point where you just said, "Fuck, I can't do this anymore"?
It was just the lack of, well, what I thought was a lack of interest. We couldn't get back to the States. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that. And then almost overnight after that show we did in Germany, the Keep It True Festival, it was just the whole thing exploded. And then all of a sudden we were doing like half a dozen festivals in Germany. We were doing festivals in France. I've never set foot inside France to play. I go there quite a bit because my parents live there, but we'd never played there before. And then all of a sudden we're doing quite a number of festivals, and again, it's all over the place. Italy, and it's why knock a good thing when it's happening? So we don't anymore. What we do, we come up with an album and we get on with it, and here we are ready to do to do a world tour with this new album.
Yeah, and you were just in Montreal and Ottawa and Canadian part of the world recently, and nothing but great reviews from everybody that was there. The guys at the Brass Monkey and the Piranha Club, and everybody, just great reviews. So, let's look at this sort of from a very empirical kind of point of view. See You in Hell, Fear No Evil, Rock You to Hell. 3 albums, you disappear for 30 years. What is it about this band that touched so many people? Because you could have gone to this festival in Germany, and people could have just gone, yeah, all right, that's great. But they didn't. No. What is it about Grim Reaper where people just went, yeah, I need more? And why did those 3 albums just touch people so much where you just went, yeah, I need more?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue. Because, we didn't realize, I suppose, back in the day that was happening. And the reason why, because these days, obviously, we have media. We have social media, which is a fantastic medium these days. People can actually, even if, they're not friends with me on Facebook, can send me a message and say, I love this new album. I think it's fantastic. I think the things, and I've been into Grim Reaper for since the day one, and I've been into Grim Reaper because you saved my life and all this sort of thing. And it's just like, wow, oh my God, and your fans love you. They really do. And that's part and parcel of it. Now I can actually talk to my fans, whereas before I couldn't. And I think that's all part and parcel of it. We are being told all those things, and that's actually spurring us on to do more. Because at the end of the day, when we do a show, we will finish the show. I announce it during the show, don't rush off when we finish, because we'll come down and see you. We'll just towel off and come and see you and sign stuff and take pictures with you and all that stuff. So we definitely do that. We do that because we look after the fans. We like to look after them, because without them, we wouldn't be doing anything. We wouldn't be able to afford to go to any part of the world and do what we do without these fans, putting a hand in their pocket and paying for a ticket to come and see us. So, I personally like to look after them that way.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hearing all the time. It's just that you're very, very approachable. So let me ask you about this, because you did mention that sort of social media angle where fans can get on you all the time, and sometimes it's good because they can tell you how great the album is, but sometimes it's bad. Oh, the this and that. But is it a double, right? But
I don't really get that.
Okay.
I get good. I don't. it rather depends on it, and they sympathise with what I put on. Just recently I put on about having mental issues, PTSD, and depression, and the response was like something else. So many responses, I can't keep up with it, so I'm going to have to come up with one and send that out and say, right, guys, I've got you, I'm listening, I'm hearing you. They're telling me about their problems, their mental issues, and all that sort of stuff. And it's just like, that's the connection between Grim Reaper and maybe somebody else. I care about my fans, I really do, and they obviously care very much about me. And some of the comments that have been written are just, they're really heartwarming. And as long as I can do this, I will be doing it for them.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that positive angle. I'll change my question then.
Okay.
You did have that, and I'm trying to be delicate, but you had the medical procedure, you lost a leg. Yeah. How important was it for you in the recovery to have the fans be there? Because when you're doing something like that and it gets into post-traumatic stress and you're all alone, but in your case, and I saw it, people were like, oh my God, and they were reaching out and, oh, I hope you feel better. And how important was that in your recovery to know that you had this incredible love and support, and not just from your fans, but the metal community at large that just went, hey man, I might not have bought your album, but man, we need you out there. How important was that?
It was extremely important because, I lay in the bed for 7 weeks in Ecuador, not entirely on my own. The first 3 weeks I was entirely on my own. Then my wife flew out and she spent the rest of the time with me. And the British Embassy, they were fantastic, to be perfectly honest with you. But I knew that all this response was happening because I had my phone. But I had to download and do all that sort of stuff. I only had internet for 30 minutes a day, so I spent the time talking to my family in rotation, and then the other was like, right, I'm gonna this is how do I get a leg, how do I do this, I want to get back up on stage and I need to know how to do it, and and what encouraged me a lot was the fact that the fans in Guayaquil in Ecuador were coming in during the day, 5, 6 at a time, and coming to visit me. Most of them couldn't speak English, but they came in, bought me presents, bought me this, bought me that, and it was just fantastic. And that, along with, I had to think about, there was 2 things that I kept thinking about, other than the fans, was the fact that, look, there's always somebody worse off than me, and I have met them during my rehabilitation. And I don't know if you're aware, but we had a famous Spitfire pilot during the war called Douglas Bader. Before the Second World War, he lost both his legs in an airplane crash, and he started to walk in tin legs. And then during the Second World War, got back into a Spitfire and shot Germans down. And it was like, right, well, that is all the courage and determination I need to do the same. But for me, it was like not climbing into a Spitfire, it was climbing back up on stage. And I did that 6 months after I got home, and I got my leg and I got all my training and all that stuff. And I got up on stage, did the show, and then the last song, we do See You in Hell, and the stage was split into, well, it was 2 levels, and I asked my wife to come and help me down to the bottom part of the stage, and I walked out to the crowd, and they got louder and louder and louder and louder. It reduced me to tears, and I was like, well, there you go. That was what all the hard fight was about, and I'm glad I did it, and I do it again tomorrow.
So then it's fair to say that getting back on stage and performing wasn't necessarily about the music, but it was more therapeutic in the sense.
Yeah, yes, definitely, yeah, yes. It stopped me from thinking or just going into the depths of despair. You know, I've only got one leg. What the hell am I going to do? Blah, 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 blah. No, it wasn't that at all. It was like, right, how do I get back up on stage? How do I still perform for these guys? You know, because I'm not ready. I'm not ready to quit just yet, and I know they're not ready for me to quit. So it was just a foregone conclusion that was what I was going to do.
Does it focus your attention when you're making an album like At the Gates, where you have these fans that are just on your side, and you sort of say, I'm going to make a new album, but man, it's got to be extra fucking good. I got to give them back everything they gave to me. Do you have any of that extra motivation of like, I can't just make an album. I've got to make the album.
Yeah. I still don't think I've ever made the album, but this one goes a long way towards it. Yes, it's for the fans. You know, it is. And every song I write, or Ian and I write, it's always with them in mind. You know, right, okay, we're going to do an anthem. We're going to do this. At the Gates was a personal thing. That was me in bed with a hanging tree full of drugs and blood and all the rest of it, keeping me alive. But at the same time, you know, I was in and out, obviously, because I had a sepsis, major infection, and I was in and out, you know, and I'd be thinking that I died, and then woke up, and to explain that, I can't explain how that felt or how it affected me. It was just when I was awake, it's like, right, that's never going to affect me again until it did. But it's difficult to explain. But
no, but I sort of get it, because I've had 2 heart surgeries, and there are moments where you just lie there and you go, well, it's fucking over. And
yeah,
and I know it's not easy for people who's never had a surgery, but you know what you had and heart surgery, you just like, and I don't want to talk about me, but just real quick, you know, on the second heart surgery, I just thought, I'm not fucking getting out of this room, and I did. And so, yeah, I don't exactly understand what you went through, because I'm not you, but I can sympathize with what you went through, because I sort of understand it.
Yeah, except, I mean, yes, I think why I ended up with PTSD was the fact that every operation, I had 5 operations. 2 were for drainage, so I discount them really. But the other 3, the first one, they cut my foot to pieces to try and get rid of the infection. Second one was to take me below knee. Then 5 days later, they took me above knee because I'd got necrosis in the cut, which is a flesh-eating disease. And every time I had the first 3 operations, I was awake for them. So I could actually hear them soaring through my bones. And that, I can tell you, especially the last one, because the femur is quite a bone. And they got the saw stuck in it twice, because it's all hand tools over there. But and I remember, you know, thinking, Douglas Bader had to have this done. Douglas Bader had to do it, but I'm sure he was asleep rather than awake. Man, digging deep has never meant so much to me as that final operation. And it was nasty. But again, it was just like, I've got to make it. I've got to get through this. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to stop or die.
I've got to say, first of all, the fact that you're this candid is remarkable, and the fact that you're able to go on. Like, I mean, if this was me, I would have just said, "Fuck it, I'm out." I mean, so congratulate, or not, but kudos on your spirit and your willingness to talk about it, because it really is. It's remarkable.
Not a problem. It's not a problem. You know, I mean, people want to know. People are kind of actually. You did it as well. It was like, well, I want to ask, but I've got to go around, you know, around about, you know, I talk straight, and, you know, if you can ask me anything you like, and I will tell you. and it's
And
one of those.
And you're right about that, by the way. I mean, listen, it is a subject that piques the interest, but you also don't want to be so incredibly, rude about it that
you won't. You won't ever be rude about it, and you can't be. If you saw me in the street and you said something, that would be rude. But and it's funny actually, because when kids see you, when I don't wear my prosthetic, or even when I do, because we always seem to look in symmetry, and I've only got one leg, so to a child, it's like, what's going on? And they stare, and they can't help it. And all kids do it. And then the first thing they do is the parents see them standing there staring. It's like, come on, come away, come away, come away. And I said, no, it's okay. It's really okay. They can ask me if they want. My youngest grandchild, he kept saying to me the one day we were out doing something. He says, "Where's your leg?" I said, "Well, it fell off." And then 5 minutes later, well, where is your leg? And it wasn't until I showed him my stump that he was like, "Oh, there it is then." And that was it. I never got another question. It's just weird things like that happen. And that kind of makes me laugh.
Right, I can imagine.
Now, it does.
I did want to ask, you were right, but I didn't want to make it the entire focus. So I do want to move away for a bit. Because,
absolutely.
Again, the first three albums, See You in Hell, Fear No Evil, Rock You in Hell. Last album, 1987, and then 2016, you're back, Walking in the Shadows. When you get to Walking in the Shadows, do you sit down and say, we're just going to make a new album for 2016, and this is the band, and this is what we do? Or do you consciously or subconsciously look back and say, okay, if we're going to put this brand name on it, it's got to be that style, that... do you look back at the first three albums and say, we got to have a continuity here? Or do you say, no, it's 2016. This is the new version. This is the new band. And we're going to have whatever sound we make.
Well, yes, in both scores, really. Yes, Ian and I sat down and talked about it. And it was like, it's got to be, the fourth album that was, well, it was written, but it didn't sound like anything like what we got now. But yes, it was a conscious effort to make it sound like the first three albums, definitely. This one is not so much. There are still tinges of it, but we decided to write a moving on album, basically. So it's like, right, okay, this is still Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper. This is how it is, and we're going to go for a modern sound. Is all we did, because I get asked about the songs in the did you? They say it's a lot heavier. Well, yeah, and they say, well, why is that? And it's well, that's the way it came out. That's the way the songs were written. Sorry. The way we wrote the songs, it's just that's how it came out. Yeah, they are definitely slightly heavier, but that's probably more modern. But it still has the Grim Reaper tinges, and it's bound to, because that's who we are, and I don't think that'll ever change. So and
you're the voice, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's never going to change.
That's the best part about being the vocalist, is that usually if you're any good, you're associated with that band forever. That's why you can't replace Steven Tyler. That's why you can't.
Exactly.
Whereas drummers, you can just roll them in and out all day. Nobody cares.
Yeah. I could change the whole back line tomorrow, and if I'm still there, it's like that. And I've done that. I've been to the first time I went to South America, to Brazil. That's what I did. I had a backing band. And did that, and then decided that I'd take the whole band over. So it was, and that's how it works from then on. But it's and it's like playing See You in Hell. I think if I didn't ever play See You in Hell in a set, I'd get lynched. So it's great though.
you probably would, and I just want to point out just real quick, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, track 4. is particularly pleasing to my ears. Great, and then one right after, a knock at the door. Just anyways, it's great stuff. But I want to ask you this because it is Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper, and we know that after or during or around the third album, Rock You to Hell, there was all kinds of legal battles. First of all, is the Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper just so to identify, or is that an ongoing legal thing where you have to call it something different?
No.
Okay.
It's something that, because when we started getting asked to go and do this thing, it was like, right, okay, what do we do? I've got to speak to Nick, I've got to invite him onto it, and which is what we did. Ian and I made the phone call to Nick and said, right, this is what's happening. He wanted to leave the Grim Reaper thing totally alone, and it was like sleeping dogs lie, and we were just going to go for it, and he said, well, I'd rather not you go out as Grim Reaper, because people are going to be thinking that I've rejoined and I'm going to be there. I said, well, okay, well, let's call it Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper, and that's basically why we did it. And it was a gentleman's agreement.
Right. Okay.
Yes, it was a gentleman's agreement between Nick and I, and that's it in a nutshell.
So let me go back to those legal battles in 87, 88. Because after that, the band disappears for, as we know, 30 years.
Yeah.
Was that so acrimonious that you said, we're done with this band, we're out? Or was it just the band had run its course and it was time to move on?
No, it was actually a legal requirement that we did not play. Would you believe? Yeah,
I would believe, because I hear it all the time, and it's quite. It really pisses people off.
It does. Yeah, and basically, we left Ebony Records to go and join RCA because they breached the contract, and he didn't think he did, which it was blindingly obvious he did. So he put in a counter suit. And basically, he said, until this is sorted, they are not to play live. They are not to record. They are not to play live. And that was it, basically. Because Nick got into another band, I got into several others, and we could never do the Grim Reaper thing until I was in Lionheart, and my manager was also a lawyer, and he got that through. He got that sorted out for me. So I was not or away from the suing and all that sort of stuff. It was all dropped in court. So that's why we could go out as Grim Reaper again and play the Grim Reaper songs.
How disappointing was that for you? Because you're a young guy, young band. You're building up a reputation. You're 3 albums in, which is actually really good. You're especially at that time where the music was on MTV and Headbangers Ball and Pepsi Power in Canada, and now you've lost. And people hate when I say brand, but you've lost the brand. How much of a poker up the butt was that? Where you just go, fuck.
It was a red hot poker up the butt, really, and it was a really nasty thing to do. We ended up coming back to the UK with no money, no income. The money, the very small amounts of money that we had from Ebony Records, when we come back, we all had to go on Social Security and all that shit.
Why didn't you quit and go work driving a lorry?
Well, that's basically what we had to do to start. But to start off with, it was we had to draw Social Security. But Ebony Records, the guy at Ebony Records, actually got in touch with them and said, they can't be on Social Security. I'm giving them money. Then I had a knock on the door, and this guy said,
what a complete asshole, this guy.
Yeah.
No offense. Maybe a little bit of offense.
No.
Full offense.
No.
Full offense.
Yeah,
Fuck
full
him.
offense, the motherfucker. Yeah, as he, and basically they came knocking on my door and reading my rights and all the rest of it. I said, whoa, what? How do you know I've been earning money? Well, we've been told. And I said, what have I supposed to have earned then? And he was reeling off this amount of money, and he actually by accident left the folder open for me to see who'd been telling them we were earning money, and it was Ebony Records. It was on headed notepaper. So, he'd been a real arsehole. He really screwed us big time. But they, once I got that cleared up, I never saw him again. So yeah.
You mean you're not sending him Christmas cards? That's
No.
Wow.
I can't actually tell you what I'd like to do to him, but yeah.
No, because this is being recorded and it can actually be used. So no, let's
yes.
Let me ask you about those first three records then, in terms of the masters and who owns the masters. Can you repurpose them? Can you do a box set, deluxe edition, or are those lost in the annals of rock and you have no say? Nick has no say. There's just your babies are gone.
No, they're not gone. I've been fighting for nearly 14 years because I've never received a penny from any Grim Reaper album, not 1 cent. And I'm not looking into that. I think we may have to go to court. I'm not absolutely 100% yet. But that is all. I can't really say too much about that because it's all being dealt with now. But hopefully by the end of this year, it'll all be back to where it should be. But you never know in this business.
So we'll put it this way: as we're speaking here on October 25th, 2019, you don't own the masters. You don't have access to the masters.
No, I do not, but I will. One way or another, we will.
Any thought given to re-recording those albums with the new lineup and just say, well, if I can't have these, I'm just going to or would that be too disrespectful to Nick?
No, because
okay.
I would talk to Nick about it and say, look, this is what we're doing. We'd love you to be on it. We'll send you backing tracks and you can do your guitar parts, and then we'll add them at mix stage, so we can do that. We can pretty much do what you like because at the end of the day, they are in the public domain. So you can pretty much do what you like. I could do it and not speak to Nick, but I wouldn't do that out of respect anyway. But so.
Yeah, because that's sort of that's a little bit of the loophole when you don't have your masters, is you sort of can just re-record them.
Yeah, yes, you can do that. Yes, you definitely can do that. But I would like to have the masters back, but we'll see. I don't know.
And I'll finish on this then. If you do get the masters back, and I'm hoping you do, what would be the purpose for you? Just to have them and say, hey, I've got them? Or is it because you want to do something with them for the fans and say, here's a deluxe edition, here's a remix, here's a remaster, here's a...
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I would like to do that, but I'm not going to plan anything because not for the time being anyway, until I know for sure I get them back. So, yeah.
But the short answer is not, you don't just want them to want them. You want them because you would like to have plans.
Yeah, I would like to have them to do something with them for the fans, So,
fingers
definitely
crossed.
That.
I hope that happens. And I will say this as we end. At the Gates, folks, it actually was released today. It is great. It really is a great heavy metal record. And, as I've gotten older, I've sort of drifted away from heavy metal and more in sort of, melodic rock, but this one brings me back. This
cool.
This is good. This is good. This is real good. So don't stream it. Great. Go buy it. Buy it.
Yeah,
buy it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's out on vinyl as well now. So that's even better.
It is. And I will say, as we say in Montreal, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. You have been absolutely Delightful, candid, honest, just a great chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Bye. Thank you, Steve.
Take care, buddy.
You too.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. Rock Talk.